Welcome at Pizza and More. Some times ago I showed you already how to make the modern version of the Pizza Calzone. Yeah, I'm Jürgen and we make this time the Pizza Calzone Tradizionale. The Calzone Tradizionale is filled a bit different, and this version of the Calzone is also written down in the rule set of the AVPN, so the Associazione Verace Pizza Napoletana, and therefore it's a real Neapolitan pizza, so a vera pizza napoletana. The legend following: in the 17th century in the south of Italy, around Naples in Campania, the Italian mamas, they made their bread, and during they have baked their bread, they filled some small dough pieces with several things. They baked this as well for their kids, and this was the legend following the foundation of the calzone. On the other side of the Italian country, in Puglia, there at the same time they also had some dough pieces which they filled, and they had them in special days, on special festive days, and they also called this piece of dough, filled piece of dough, calzone. So where now the real calzone was founded? Was it in Puglia? Was it in Campania? This is not really known. One thing is definitely clear: it was in the south of Italy. Yeah, beside the modern version we already made, there is a different version available, which is the pizza fritta. This is also a kind of a pizza calzone. I also made a video of this already, and the link to both videos will be in the video description, and also the whole recipe, what we do right now, is also in the video description. Yeah, the traditional version of calzone, so the Pizza Calzone Tradizionale, has a different filling, as I already said. In the mainly this is ricotta, this is mozzarella, fior di latte and salami. I decided to make a dough with a pre-dough. We make a Poolish. The total leavening time of the whole day of the whole dough will be 48 hours, and the hydration will be 65%. And now we start with the Poolish. The ingredients we need for the Poolish are not too many. We have here on one side the Typo 00 flour with 13.5% of protein. This is a flour with a high baking strength, because this flour goes 48 hours or has a leavening time of 48 hours, and compared then to the main dough, where I will use a flour with a medium baking strength, because this has then only a leavening time of 24 hours. This is 250 grams of flour. I have here the same amount of water, also 250 grams. It's only a cold water out of the tub. And I have 0.04 grams of dry yeast. The reason for this little portion yeast is we let the Poolish raise at room temperature. Making the Poolish is really very simple. At first we pour the water into a bowl. Then we add a portion of flour, maybe 1/3, and the yeast. And then we use a whisk and we mix this. And then we can directly add the second third. And when also this is mixed, then we add the rest of the flour. And we mix also this. And we mixed everything good. Then we use a spatula and we clean the side of the bowl. Then we close the lid. And we let the Poolish rise at room temperature
for 16 to 24 hours.
My Poolish had now a leavening time of around 20 hours at 19 degrees Celsius. And the Poolish is now ready to be, to make the main dough out of it. And all the other ingredients we need for our main dough are also already prepared. And now we start with the main dough.
For the main dough, of course, we need the whole amount of the Poolish. Then we need 250 grams of flour. This one here is a type 00 flour with 13% of protein with a medium baking strength. Then I have here very cold water. This is 75 grams, and with this water we come to a hydration or total hydration of 65%. Then here 0.8 grams of dry yeast and 15 grams of fine sea salt. Now I create the dough out of all. At first I add the Poolish, the water, the flour and the yeast. Then I mix everything for around 5 minutes. After these 5 minutes I add the salt, and then I continue mixing so that we will have at the end a total mixing time of around 20 minutes. And then I make the window test. As soon the window test works, the gluten structure is built and we are ready with kneading. You see, I have the dough already on my counter. I kneaded the dough 20 minutes. To show you that the window test works, I really take a piece of dough and then I stretch this piece of dough. And you can see it's possible to stretch it very thin, which means the gluten structure is really done. What we now have to do, you see I use such a spatula because then it's also easier always. We make now several times stretch and fold. Therefore I take the dough from the left and from the right, I lift it up, put it back onto the counter, then I stretch and I fold it. And then we can see how the surface of the dough gets strengthened. If the dough sticks, then it will stop sticking right now. You also could use some olive oil because then it's also not sticking. And then we turn the dough several times. You could also use such a spatula, of course, because this makes then the life also easier. And then when we have shaped a nice dough ball, we take the dough ball, place it in a dough ball box. Then of course we have to close the lid. And then we let the dough rest right now for round about 2 hours at room temperature. And then we put it into the fridge for around 10 to 12 hours until we shape our pizza balls.
After around 14 hours of leavening time of the main dough, I create right now the pizza balls. When you shape the pizza balls, you are here very flexible. 2 things I would recommend to consider. The first thing is I wouldn't make the pizza balls directly after kneading the main dough. And the second thing is I would recommend creating the pizza balls minimum 4 hours before baking. The reason is for the 4 hours before baking, so the dough, when you shape the pizza balls, needs some time to get relaxed. Otherwise, if the dough is not relaxed, it's very hard and it's almost impossible to stretch a proper pizza. And the other thing is, if you shape the pizza balls after several hours of leavening, then you bring new oxygen to the dough because you work with the dough, and then new oxygen comes to the yeast, and this is absolutely beneficial for the activity of the yeast. But as I said, you are here very flexible. You don't have to set your clock regarding it or get up in the middle of the night or something like this. This is absolutely important here. You are really very flexible.
Here we have now the dough. We take the dough out of the box. And then we divide the dough in 3 identical pieces. If this is done, we shape 3 pizza balls. Therefore, we do right now the same like we did with the big pizza ball with the stretch and fold, which means we take the dough, lift it, and then we fold it over, and we do here exactly the several things sometimes. And then you can see how the surface again also from the small pizza ball gets nice and strong. And then we go with the fingers under, we pull the small pizza dough, and then we also have a proper pizza ball. Now it's important to turn it around and have a look if the bottom is also closed. Otherwise it could be possible that the dough runs flat. And then if it's done, we put it into the ball box. If the 3 pizza balls are shaped, we close the lid, and then we put the pizza balls back into the fridge, and round about 6 or 4 hours before baking, this depends a bit on the room temperature, we take them out of the fridge to room temperature.
Now it's time to bake pizza again, and I'm really looking forward to make now this pizza because the Pizza Calzone Tradizionale is a pizza which I really like. I love this taste from the ricotta cheese, from the salami, from the mozzarella and all the other ingredients. It's really tasting absolutely fantastic. To the ricotta I want to say a few words. The ricotta, if your ricotta is a bit too dry, like mine was also a bit too dry, simply add a bit of water, because then and mix it of course, and then the ricotta might be or is then a bit more creamy, and then it's easier to put it onto the pizza. The pizza oven is already preheated to 400 degrees. I wouldn't make the temperature higher because the pizza takes its time to bake, also the bottom and in the center, that the cheese melts and without burning the top of the pizza. So please don't make it far higher, the temperature. 400 degrees Celsius, I mean. Even or maybe a bit lower, 380, but not far higher. And now we start with our calzone.
You may wonder why there are already some pizza balls. Why we are missing here some pizza balls. This is pretty easy. I have in the living room some very hungry, or in the meanwhile not hungry anymore, family members who said they want to have their pizza before I make the video. It doesn't matter. I have one dough left over. This is the dough I will make now together with you, and this is the pizza I will eat afterwards. We flip now this pizza ball several times in the semolina, then we take it out. If it's not round anymore, then we can shape it round with our fingertips. We have to be also to this kind of dough very gentle, because if the dough is stressed, we can't shape a nice pizza anymore. And now it's different than for a normal Neapolitan pizza, because in the Neapolitan pizza we start in the center, and now we start around the crust, because in the calzone we don't need too much air in our pizza. For the calzone it's recommended and it's important to keep in the center a bit more dough, because then the calzone might not break when we close the calzone. So it's easier if the center stays a bit thicker. Then we start here this pizza not with the tomatoes. We start here with the ricotta cheese, but it's important here to keep the crust. This is the same like with a normal pizza, as well. But here it's also important to put the ingredients only on one half of the pizza. The next we add is some fresh grated Parmesan cheese. Then we add some mozzarella fior di latte. Now some salami. This is a normal salami Napoletana. Then we add some black pepper. Then some basil, olive oil, and now it's already time to close the pizza. Therefore, we simply take the dough and fold it over. And now it's important that we close the crust really properly, otherwise the ingredients will come out. After this, we have to make a hole into our pizza so that all the steam can go out, otherwise the pizza will blow up like an air balloon. And then we add here on top some tomato sauce, not too much. And then here also some cheese. And again some parmesan. Now it is important that we release the pizza, especially here the crust where it sticks to the table. And then we can take the pizza peel with some semolina. We lift the dough and push the peel under. And then it's time for the oven. And here comes the nice calzone already out of the oven. And then some leaves of fresh basil. And if you want, some olive oil.
And you can believe me, this Calzone Tradizionale is absolute a dream. I love this pizza. I will eat exactly this pizza right now and I'm really looking forward to it. You can add, if you want, a few or a bit of olive oil after baking. I wouldn't recommend to add some olive oil on top before baking. I don't do it because often then the olive oil flows down onto the pizza stone in the oven and then it's a lot of dust and it's stinky, and this is what I want to avoid. If you like my video, it would be fantastic if you would subscribe my channel, and then we see us in the next video. Ciao.